Hello, welcome everyone to our weekly catch up, or as we say, live webinar. Today we're going to do it on Tuesday because today we have a very special guest, Reece Selvadorai. He's a 2014 graduate. He has a video production company. Welcome, Reece. Would you like to say a few words about yourself?
Yeah, hi, I'm Reece Selvadorai. I'm 28 years old. As Robbie just said, graduated from Solent 2014, many years ago. Been running a production company for 8 years and specialise in producing and directing.
Okay, nice. And the reason we've done this on Tuesday, we normally do it on Fridays, because Reece has a very busy schedule. So he could only be available today. Now, you graduated in 2014. We've done an interview as well with Reece that can be found on YouTube. If anyone wants to have a look at that. Reece has established his business in second year in university, so that would have been 2013.
Yeah, correct.
2013, and since then it's just been ongoing, really. How would you say your perspective on this business when you were a student? How would you say that perspective changed from when you were a student to where you are now? Because obviously you've had a lot of experience.
Yeah, no, it's massively, massively changed. It went from being I mean, when you're a student, becoming a business owner and thinking of sort of 5 years ahead is very, very difficult and very, very hard. Obviously, going out into the big wide world and understanding what business is alone is really, really hard. So the time that's spent after university has really like sort of matured me, I'd say, made me grown up, made me realize a lot of things. And I've smashed dreams that I thought I could never ever come close to when I was at Solent back in the day, and now I've set new goals, which back then in 2013, even in 2012, when this was just an idea in a head, dreams I thought I would never ever ever reach to ever possible in my remit, and that's all thanks to sort of the people I've networked with and all of that stuff. So yeah, it's been an interesting journey so far.
Okay, we've also had an interview a few weeks ago, actually a few couple of months ago, I think, with Dean Macy. Do you know him?
Yeah, I mean, I don't know him too well. I remember we and him were in the. I think it was a year below or a couple of years below me at university, but we had several conversations. I'm not sure if we worked on a couple of projects together, but yeah, the name does ring a bell, and I know we definitely would have crossed paths.
Yeah,
2015, 2016, for
he
sure.
had a very similar thought about that thing that he managed to get to some points where he never dreamed of getting. He's currently a camera operator for Sky.
Yeah.
He does the daily briefs and everything. Um, so yeah, that was quite good. That was another colleague of yours from the video production side. Um, Also on the interview that again everyone could check on YouTube, very very insightful. On that video, you've mentioned that people should work more on their connections now on lockdown, obviously.
Yeah.
How did those connections affect where you are now? Can you give us an example, maybe of someone or some place you've made connections and then that continued your project
Yeah, 100%.
working?
Connections, networking is the biggest key for a producer as well. Someone like myself, is so key, and network is. I mean, I teach it to everybody who joins my business, and I am happy to help people to grow their networks. But it's all about everybody and everything. So I'm talking friends, family, people who you don't initially think are going to help you in a video production world are the best people. For an example, no relation to university or anything, but I had a previous girlfriend who, um, yeah, you're talking when I was 17. So you're talking way many years ago.
Yeah.
Um, that relationship finished probably before I even was at college or when I was at college, went to university. She obviously still had me on social media. She hit me up. It must have been 2016, so you're talking a good 6, 7 years afterwards. And she said, "You're doing amazing. It'd be great to catch up." And then she was the head of marketing for L'Oreal and that group.
Oh,
So it's having those connections. When I say it's not just the initial connections of people who you think are going to help you, it's people who you least expect to help, and that's why people at university, it's not necessarily, it's people who are sitting next to you who you think, okay, this person might not be very good at what they're doing, or they not might not be clued up, or they don't know so many people, but
yeah.
everybody knows 7 people that you need to know. And that's a very good thing to keep in your head. So every time you meet somebody, not necessarily you want to get business off that person directly, but you want to know 7 people who he or she knows, and that's going to grow your network massively.
So that leads to, well, bottom line would be nice to everyone. Leave leave a
Leave
window
a,
open.
leave a window open and do that. I mean, as a producer, it's I'm sure there's a load of people listening who are either producing at university or had an inkling of producing or are going into producing. A producer needs to be the most lovable person and the most hateable person at the same time, because you need to get stuff over the line, you need to get it done, but you also need to, everybody needs to love you still, outside of work, inside of work, and all of that. And that's what really pulls in the favors. Literally, just producing a music video this morning, for example, and we have to get lighting sorted. It's a very low budget music video, but the lighting budget came to £800
Okay.
from our rental house that we have to do, and we managed to swing it for 350 overall price. So it's just building that connection with that rental house has allowed us to take £400 plus off a bill that would usually charge for a usual customer. I won't mention any companies or any names of who that is, but it just shows that it proves if you build that relationship and you build that connection, people are willing to give you a helping hand if they believe in your project, they believe in what you're doing, and they really want to support you.
Yeah, and speaking of music videos, I know you said in the interview that you specialize in music videos,
Yes.
or that is your preference at least.
Yes.
Um, was that always the case?
Yeah, I mean, for me, like I said, university, I wouldn't say I went to university, Solent, just for the pure fact of studying. That was never a sort of at that sort of time, it was, university became almost a normality. It came before I would say my time, it was more of you only go to university if you are fully succeeding and you know where you want to go and all of that stuff. Probably a few years before me and my sort of time at university, it became the normality to go there to build your independence and to build um, your character and to have a good time with people who you've never met before and really sort of mature yourself. So I didn't go to university in theory to study film. It was just something that I enjoyed at college that I did, and I found that I was comfortable and competent in doing it. I had no idea what I wanted to do at the end of university, but it led me to go and do it. And then when I was there, I fell in love with it. I fell in love with it, and it was something that I thought, you know what, I've got a good connection base in Southampton, and I managed to do work in and around Southampton. And for me, that was a huge thing. If there's something that I can make money off that is deemed to be super hard in the real world, people struggle every day in the industry. Even people who have been in there for 30, 40 years still struggle to make money within it. Then I must be onto something good.
Speaking of that, I know that's a quite recurrent problem, and I think you've mentioned it in the interview as well. How did you transition from having a part-time job and doing film to basically because you've quit your part-time job
Yeah.
for this? How was that transition? How when did you decide that you could
So
make more money?
yeah, I made the transition in my last year of university. So I haven't had another job since 2014. Actually, it would have been end of 2013. So since 2014, I haven't had another job. I've been doing this the whole time, and it was at the time was a risk, a very very big risk. But luckily, I found myself in that situation where, worst case scenario, I could go back to my parents' house if I needed to at that present time. I could the fallback plan of I know I could go and get a part-time job if I needed to, and having that
Yeah.
mental state of knowing that this isn't the end, or this is just to test the waters and if I can do it. And obviously, at Solent, I did, instead of taking a film studies, I dropped one of my semesters and studied business.
Oh, okay.
So instead of fully doing the full, I got a diploma in business so I could understand the business element of how to run a business, how to do your bookkeeping, how to do all the admin side of business that potentially would help me. So when it came to the end of it, I thought to myself, what's going to be the best situation? What's going to be the best scenario for me? And for me personally, it was to risk it all, take a big gamble, and be like, if it all works, fantastic. If it doesn't, I now know the problems that will occur and what I need to do to go and better myself for the next time that I try it.
Leap of faith always might work. Um, about the business class you took, was
Yeah,
that with Nikki Curtis?
that was indeed.
Um, nowadays, actually, it's I want to show students who are watching this the opinion of someone who doesn't know anything about what we're doing at the moment. So at the moment, we're delivering a few business sessions online with Nikki, so
Mm-hmm.
students could get a bit more insight on how businesses work and how you set up your business. Would you say would you recommend that? Would that be helpful for?
100%. Although at the time I probably didn't appreciate it as much as I do now. It gave me a lot of understanding and a lot of confidence in taking the risk that I was to quit my part-time job, which was my secure income, that paid all my bills, kept my house in Southampton. I stayed in Southampton for an extra year, until late 2015. That that security blanket, I was comfortable to leave because of the business knowledge that I was gaining from Nikki, and that course. And at the time, like I said, you didn't take it in at the time. When you've been in the educational system for so long, from high school to college, and then going into university, you're kind of done with it by then. You kind of had enough, and feel like, okay, cool. Like it's just becomes normality of like, I have to go to this class, etc., etc. But now looking back at it, obviously, I'm sort of 8 years out of university. It's appreciate those things that they still stick in my head, that Nikki would have said in those conversations that we had. And she was a fantastic person. She gave a lot of one-to-one time as well. Even though potentially at the time we might have not wanted that one-to-one time, but she believed in the ideas, and obviously that really helped my company Grade A grow at the time, because I went to there to, in theory, the business class that we took was to develop my idea of Grade A, and at the
Yeah,
time it was just potentially a concept that we were making little bits of cash here and there from. But from that classes, it's really, well, I'm still doing it now, so it speaks a lot by itself.
there we go. So anyone who had any doubts about watching the sessions with Nikki, definitely watch them if you want to set up your own business, because even for me, it still provides some insight. So yeah. Also, when we said you've worked with Virgin EMI, you've worked with Island Records. I
Mm-hmm.
think you're actually currently actively working with them
Yeah, yeah,
on music videos.
yeah.
Can you tell us a little bit about that? Was that
Yeah,
through a word of mouth? Was that through how did you get those?
yeah, so obviously for myself, it's very much like within the music industry. I see this. I mean, I'm a big fan of music, and that's what really got me into doing music videos and stuff. Unfortunately, I can't sing, I can't produce, and I can't do anything talented on that side. So the next best thing is for me to stand behind a camera and shout and tell people
Fair.
what to do in front. So I see this industry in line with that, and it's a very, very messed up industry where it's very easy to get caught up with horrible negotiations and trying to level your way through an industry that, in theory, can get a lot of stuff done for free. Very much like the music industry. You work 100% all the time for free until you get that big deal. And there's only 1% of people who get that big deal out of
Yeah.
everybody's trying it. And I find this industry very, very much the same, which is why network is key. But yeah, it's a super exciting, fast-paced industry to be in. Word of mouth is very key. Like I said, my network is so important to me to make that work. So I've worked with a tremendous amount of independent artists over the past sort of 10 years, I would say, and worked with people who I believed in and think that, okay, I can and do that, which I've built relationships with people in the music industry. Those people in the music industry potentially don't go as far, but they open doors for you to the record labels. And it just so had it that I did a lot of festival work, so I met a lot of managements, I met a lot of people, and they kind of opened doors for me as an independent. As an independent director and as an independent producer, and been lucky enough to sit around some tables with some very important people as of the past 12 months.
Okay. Fair enough. Also, just so we we're very transparent about this. Reese doesn't just do music videos and everything he prefers. It's a job, so he has to do other things that he might not necessarily prefer that much. Um, what would that be? Would those be ads? What is
Yeah,
your
so
least
I
like?
mean, we do a whole bunch of stuff. Anything visual, we cater to. So as a business, we have sort of animation, graphic design in house. We do photography, so branding campaigns. That's from shop window work to magazine spreads to um, yeah, billboards. We cater to the whole range of things, and that's something that I had to learn quickly and very fast. I would love to say that my business road has been straight like this all the way up, but it hasn't. I definitely had some big ups and downs with it, which has taught me some huge lessons in how to financially stay afloat, and what I really need to do to push forward, which was enhance my skill set. Only as a director and producer, I only can do a certain amount of work, and I specialize on the video side of things. So when it comes to photography, creative directing, yeah, I can have a little dabble in that and I can see, but I can't take a photo like a photographer can for a shop window and create all that. So there's a huge team of us. Say huge. There's 6 of us in house at the moment, but there's a lot of subcontractors that we use to really create the work behind it. So it's not one person. It's not um, one person that makes it happen, but it's a huge entity of people to push forward and make everything happen. But yeah, there's a lot of work that we do dislike doing. I won't go into too many details
Yeah, yeah,
of what they
obviously.
are, but there's a lot of work that you do kind of have to grit your teeth and get on with, just to make sure you do pay people's wages, pay rent, keep the lights on, food in your fridge, all of that sort of stuff. It has to be done, unfortunately, in every single thing. But at the end of the day, filming is what I love to do, directing and producing in particular. But yeah, it's you have to be very versatile in this industry, very very
Okay.
versatile.
And you said that you had some like tremendous amount of independent artists. I'm an independent artist myself, so anyone could be. Um, is there anyone who actually made it after you worked with them? Anyone that
Uh,
you could think like, oh, I worked with him when he was at the beginning.
so who's there? There's been again tremendous amount of people who I've been lucky enough to work with. Someone I would say who is up and coming right now, who I've definitely worked with, who is I'm working with at EMI at the moment, is someone called Masterpiece.
Okay.
He is somebody who is UK, and he's very influenced by like Busted and McFly, a very unique essence to the music scene, the UK music scene. And we did a video for him probably about 14 months ago, and he was a nobody. And him and his management came to me, and his management had a fantastic track record of working with people such as Professor Green, Skepta,
Right.
all of those sort of people. And he came to me and he was like, love your stuff, really really like what you've done. I know this person you've worked with before, can we ever sit down and have a conversation? Sat down, pitched the artist to me, and at the first it was kind of like, this is not really my normal sort of genre that I can actually cater to, but I'm very interested. It's very unique and it's very unifying. We did one video for him, and obviously not just down to the video work that we done, but off the back of that, he got signed to EMI.
Nice.
Was
So are
which
you still in contact?
We are. We literally just shot a video for him last 2 weeks ago,
Okay, so
which
there
was
you
his
go. That's
first
that's
video for EMI. Yeah,
that's a first-hand example of networking.
yeah,
You've done 14 months ago a video for him when he wasn't anywhere really, and now you've just done one for him when he's represented by Virgin EMI, which is pretty amazing, really.
yeah,
So
yeah. That's incredible, incredible.
that's
It's an incredible journey, and it's I don't think you can pay for a feeling like that. The success that you feel within, being able to help someone on that journey and sign that piece of paper that says they're going to get X amount for their sales of music this year, and you've been a part of that journey is incredible, incredible.
all right. Okay, let's talk about specs. Canon, Nikon, Sony. Which one are you?
Ooh, see, for me, when we shoot music videos, commercials, anything like that, I'm when it comes to the video side, it is straight Arri Mini, Arri Alexa Mini, or we shoot Red Dragon. Um, we've been shooting on those two probably for the last 6, 7 years. Documentary esque, we've been shooting FS7, Sony. Branding campaigns, yeah, Sony when it comes to photography, hands down. I mean, personally, interface of a Sony, hate it, can't stand it. It's menu inside menu inside menu, and that's just
Yeah.
the format card. And that's just insane what you can probably do with that camera and do it. But as a amateur filmer back in the day, Canon was my go-to. I think
Was it Mark II, Mark
the
3?
Mark II, yeah, the 5D Mark II. We used to go and shoot nightclub videos with that, and it was just a nice, handy one that you could go just have in your hand, and it wouldn't be too weighty. As in now, we're sort of shooting with the Alexa Minis and the Dragons and the Geminis. Yeah, they're not handy just to have in your pocket and to walk around with.
But still, they took notes. They took notes. They made it more accessible.
They
And
have. They made it super light. I remember the first red that we picked up. It was if you had it on your shoulder for more than half hour, it was a good workout. A very very good workout.
yeah, yeah.
Which is now you could probably hold it for a good half a day, and then your arms would definitely be burning.
Plus, I think in 2013, when you were working with Canons, I think that was the time when TV shows were still made with Mark IIs and threes.
Yeah, there was
Yeah, yeah,
many, and it's crazy to think that happened with the small cameras, because a lot of people, the problem I had when I first started a business was the level of work that we were pitching to and everything. People were surprised at how small cameras were going, and how tiny they were, and then sort of having the big reds come in and stuff. People kind of expect that on the level of work that we do.
yeah. And we got our first question from P. Solabore. Sorry, I missed the first part of the video. How did you go about starting your own business? Most of this question is answered and what we spoke earlier and also in the interview. But what we haven't really spoke about is specific steps you took on how you started your business. We know you've took class with Nikki Curtis.
Yeah.
You've learned about the business side, which is most of the people who are watching this probably. How did you go from there?
So from that, it was actually Nikki who kind of really grounded us to take this a lot more seriously than what we were. So I mean, it's just me solo running the business at the moment with 6 obviously employees. But at the time, there was 3 of us, 3 friends studying film and television at the time at Solent, who were pushing forward in thinking what we do. And what we did, we used to film in pretty much all the nightclubs in Southampton at that present time. So we had a fantastic name for ourselves, but we didn't want to just be known for those guys who filmed in nightclubs. We wanted to be taken a bit more serious. So Nikki saw that we had something within us. I don't know what she saw, but she saw something. And she gave us a few connections that she said, you know what, you guys should pitch for this sort of work and do this. And I believe that was through the connections that she had on the network. And they were corporates within Hampshire. So one was, I believe, Hillier Gardens, which is a huge sort of garden centre, nurseries, beautiful community trust gardens that you can walk through. And
In
we managed to
Romsey, I think.
yes, yeah, that's the one. And we did a collection of videos for them, and that really people started to take us more seriously then, as in the corporate world, and actually making serious money off it, because club video it's not great money. It comes and goes as and when it is, but it added a nice little extra cash. And then obviously off the back of that, we managed to work for B&Q and do all of that online content, which was a huge entity, and it was across a national platform. It wasn't just for one individual store. It was across the whole thing.
Okay, great. We have a follow-up question from Peace as well. What does someone need to do to keep it successful, the business itself? Again, we have answered that earlier. I could try to answer this, and you could correct me if I'm wrong. Um, if I'm not mistaken, Reese's secret was networking, connecting, and really knowing the industry and what part of it you want to be, well, part of, basically. How does
Yeah,
that sound?
no,
Would you put it
no,
in a nicer
hundred
way?
percent. Networking is 100% the way, and people take that for granted, and people take. I mean, I teach people all the time about networking, but your mobile phone has thousands of pounds sitting in it, ready to be made, and it's understanding and open your mind up to seeing people in a different way, and that's not potentially pressuring people to work with you. Like I said, everybody that you know in your phone book knows 7 people that you need to know that you don't know already, and when you put that into a networking cycle, in theory, everybody's sitting on a gold mine. It's understanding how to evaluate that and understanding how to get the right questions and not wasting time with people and being very straight to the point, but also very caring about the situation. And we live in a very lovely society of UK people that everybody is super nice. So if for example I reach out a hand, someone's going to reach a hand back for me, and they'll in theory I scratch their back, they'll scratch my back.
Exactly. But not to get it up to their heads. First, just to be transparent again, you have to reach out your hand quite a few times before you get anything back.
Yeah,
So
100%. And do not be afraid of no's. Do not be afraid of no's. They will come thick and fast, but those no's will eventually turn into yeses, because the no's at the moment are just people working out who you are and what you're about and what you're trying to achieve. And I guarantee that all those no's will turn into yeses. 6 months, 12 months, 24 months, even they will come back.
okay, we have another question from P. Solabore. How have you been coping with the COVID situation in terms of getting work? Before we answer this, I just want to put it out there. Peace is one of our most successful videographers in uni, proactive students. So you'll be hearing more from her. Who knows? Maybe you'll work together at some point. I know in the interview you've mentioned that the COVID situation, people should be networking, obviously, what we've been talking about.
Yeah.
In terms of getting work, I don't think you were that affected. Were you? Could you give us a bit more?
No, I mean, it was a scary time in the first sort of 2 weeks of the lockdown. Everyone was sort of unsure about what was happening and what was going on. For me personally, it's been a kind of blessing in disguise. People that know me and a lot of my work team they all just know me. They all call me a worker ant. So I just work 24/7, work as many hours as I can in the day. A majority of that is networking and building my network and going to meetings and doing all of that. So 8 years later, my network has paid off. So, for example, this downtime, we've had 3 months in theory out of work, but that's been a chance for people to now sit back, reevaluate what they're doing in their business or what they're doing in their musical career, or record labels now be having a chance to sit back and see, okay, who's on our director roster, who's on our producer roster, and really really put me into the forefront of attention. So I've come out the back of COVID in such an amazing situation. I'm so, in a way, thankful for it to happen. It gave me a chance to not work at 110% all the time. It's given me a chance to step back and realize where I want to go to with my dreams and where I want the business to be in a few years. And instead of constantly working and trying to get the next biggest job in, that's kind of gone out of my peripheral vision now, and it's like, okay, cool, let me go and take this next risk to get me to where I want to be in 5 years.
Okay, so metaphorically speaking, would be keep your head down, network with everyone, be nice, but once in a while, lift your head up, make sure you're still on the right path.
100%. That's 100%. It's very easy to get burnt out in this industry. Very easy. And you just need to make sure that you give yourself enough breathing time to reevaluate your personal situation as well as your work situation, to make sure that you do stay mentally on track for where you want to be.
Okay. Also, plenty of our students have applied for funding for video production companies. Can you tell us a little bit about your application itself? What did you find key for your success? Because if you guys don't know, Reese got full funding for his application. That was
Yeah.
pretty good.
Yes, so I mean that was many years ago. Many things has happened in that time. I can't really remember too much about it, but I do remember there was three of us who obviously went for the pitching together, and we did go for the full pitching. And the reason why is because luckily we had Nikki advise us on a few things, i.e., like why we need to pitch for the full funding and what it's going to benefit after we get the funding. So for us, it was a chance like, look, we're leaving university. We now need to get the equipment in to go and make this happen and not rely on university to give us the equipment to go and make our profit margin on some jobs. Um, so the reason why we went in there was we need to be able to survive as a business. If we don't have this funding, there's actually no way that we will be able to have a profit margin, which means in theory that we're just running a hobby. Um,
Yeah,
which then means that we can't push our business to the step further that we need it to go to, which is a scary, and that's the tipping point of where you have a hobby and a business is how do you separate a hobby and making sure that you make enough money to continue doing it. But as individuals, we're very fortunate and lucky that we're super confident young individuals at the time who we had a yeah we weren't afraid of much. So going to stand up in front of a few people and pitching our idea and telling them why we need the money and what it's going to do to benefit and how people will see inferior return in what we do in work wise was very straightforward and easy. But we had a business plan put together. Um, we had our financial forecasting in place. And these things do sound very scary. And they say, how am I meant to know what your financial forecasting is going to be? I'll be brutally honest with you. Nobody knows what their financial forecasting is going to be. It is literally guesswork on potential clientele that you already kind of have on your books or what you're going to work for. And at that stage, at that time, it was guesswork completely. I know that I want to have 10 clients next month. They're going to be at 2 grand per project. Work the maths out for the 12 months. That's our financial forecasting, and we're going to aim to do that with
yeah,
your funding that you're going to do. It is very daunting and it's very scary to do, first of all, a first time round. But once you get over the initial hurdles of it's actually a lot of it is guesswork at that initial stage and phase. You can't have too much facts and figures unless you're already in a working progress in business. Um, yeah, it's being confident in your own idea and your own ambition.
okay, great. Also, unfortunately, your partnership ceased in 2016, if I'm
Yeah,
not mistaken. Yeah.
yeah.
I'm not going to go too much into that, obviously, because it might have been personal reasons and so on. Would you recommend Nikki? Just to put it out there, Nikki does never recommends partnerships. Would you recommend it?
Yes. Would I recommend it? I have good and bad sides for both of them. Yes, I think it's good to have a partnership in the ways that doing something together and having two minds on something is very, very strong and powerful. To the fact that you can bounce ideas off somebody, someone who believes in the same idea and the same creatives that you do, is super, super powerful. However, being by yourself, and if you're very single minded and independent, like I found out that I was, you don't need someone to bounce your ideas off. You have enough self belief and do it. It all depends what sort of person you are. All depends what sort of person you are. Unfortunately, my partnership did end not badly, but it was built on friendship, and it put a strain on the friendship. That was the simple maths of it, and it was a shame that it came to an end because of the strain it put on the friendship. If the friendship wasn't there and we were two random people who started a business, it would probably be absolutely fine. But the friendship is a tough thing. So I would always advise keep business and friends separated, and that's just from a personal experience.
Okay, just to add to that, because I realized I've put it the wrong way. Nikki doesn't recommend partnerships between friends and students, not in general. So
Yeah.
she always says that. Okay, and for our last question, or maybe Almost the last one. Peace. What made you guys decide to form a business and not work for a production company?
Yes, that's a very simple question for me. I didn't want to spend years working my way up a ladder and doing something and being part of something or somebody working for somebody else has never been a big appetite of mine. And I have worked for other production companies and I have worked for different work experience. Worked for the BBC before as a lighting tech, as a lighting assistant, and it's like loads of different jobs we have done, and that really opened my eyes up to be like I don't want to be at the bottom of the pile for many years because myself as a director and producer, like I said earlier on, I've smashed dreams that I thought I'd never reach to, but if I was to go down a route of to shadow somebody and to be for example, a camera tech for 5 years, or a camera trainee, for example, and then get my way up to second AC, first AC, and then finally become a DOP at the age of 40. My prime years have already passed me of where I want to be. So for me, it was like I don't want to shadow somebody. I know over time and persistence and getting as much experience as I can be the director, I can be the producer who I want to be. So I don't want to shadow this director for 5 6 years. Yeah, it's great to go be on set with them and see how they work and get have a coffee with them and understand that, but not to climb our way. The best way as a director and producer, jump yourself straight in there, which is exactly what I did. I directed a TVC. I've directed music videos for labels. I've directed viral commercials, and I only did that because I put myself in those situations. And it's a very scary situation to put yourself in, but if you have the confidence and then the willingness to do it, and like I said, people skills is very good as well. You have to have the correct people skills and understand how to keep people happy and also get the job done.
Okay. Another one from Peace. I know you said networking is a good way to connect with potential clients. How else do you advertise your company? How else do you do that?
So I've never been a firm believer in pushing myself in front of other companies. So, a lot of people use marketing tactics, i.e., AdWords and Google and stuff. I've never been a huge fan of that because I look at it as if I was a consumer, and if
Yep.
I want to do, there is tens and thousands of companies out there exactly the same as mine, and there's no difference between us. And I can't say a bad word about any other production company, big or small. It could be the smallest one, or it could be the most biggest company. There's no difference between us. We all create video, we all create beautiful content, and it's all in its own unique way. However, people want to come to me because they want to work with myself as a director, as a producer, or work with the people we have the team. So marketing, we have a website, we have social media, and we direct people to our work that way. We have YouTube, we have Vimeo, you can see it. But I'm not one to jump in front of anybody else and be like, you need to work with us because we do this and we do that. If you want to work with me, you can work with me because you trust my vision and you trust the way that I work and you trust that I'm going to get the job done, which 9 times out of 10 works, and we get the recurring business. And if you don't, good luck in your journey because there's tens of thousands of other companies that can do exactly what we can do as well. And there is no problem with you choosing somebody else over us. There is
All
absolutely no
right.
problem.
So basically, skill is a must,
Yeah,
creativity is a bonus,
yeah,
and being a social person that really makes you
connects everything together.
perfect. Yeah, makes sense. I think that was the last one from Peace. I don't think anyone else has any other questions. All right. Any advice you would give to potential videographers so we can wrap it up?
Set your goals is very key. Set your goals and make sure you have a clear vision on how you want to do that, and take risks. Take risk is a very. I know a lot of people say don't take risks. Risks are very dangerous, but in the situation that people are potentially at university, take a risk and put everything into what you want to do in your ambitions and where you want to go. Because as soon as you put everything into it, you realize that dreams become reality, and what you thought was initially a lifetime away will be there in 5 years.
Perfect. There we go. There we have it, guys. Thank you so much, Reese, for joining us today, and thank you guys for watching. This has been our weekly catch up with Solent Creatives. I'll see you next time. Bye.